All right, folks, going to be seating bullets now for the Precision 270 loads I did the charge on. I was showing the precision charge method that I use. So I'm going to show you now basically just seating the bullets. All I do. I don't crimp my bolt action rounds. No need for it. I don't expect them to see too much trauma or anything like that. So they'll be fine not choking them. I'm using RCBS dies on this setup. All I have, my brother give me the dies for the 270 one year for Christmas. And I like RCBS. I like a lot of the stuff they make. Go ahead and do a little complaint on RCBS. Let me bring this closer. Now, if you look here on top of the die, you got this jam nut and this screw here. This screw here sets your bullet height inside the die. That's not such a big deal. It isn't as convenient as Lee's or some of what Redding puts out on their dies. The main thing I don't like about this is, let me swing it around to this other side here. And if you'll look right there, if it'll focus in there, I don't know if you can see it, there's a brass set screw in there. See that? That brass set screw is supposedly what jams this nut to lock the die into the system. You got to get the die tight, and then you put that jam nut on to hold it. That jam nut, I've had problems with it stripping out. Now, I know I think it's a metric screw. I know I've used standard or whatever, but I understand it's metric, and I use metric, a metric Allen wrench. But the problem is that brass, it's a brass set screw, as you saw, it is soft, and that will strip out so easy, it's unreal. While RCBS didn't put a brass tip on the end of that set screw, would it be a steel set screw with a brass ball or a brass tip on the inside to keep from damaging the threads? I don't know. I understand the brass is so they don't damage the threads in the die, but there's a lot better way to do that. The problem I'm having is it strips out. So now that it's stripped, I have to jam that nut onto my collet, the collet for my breech lock die. Problem with that is sometimes when I go to get it loose, I can't get it out, especially with this bullet seating die. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but right there, you see that? That's where it turned the collet and pressed it up against that button and screwed up that die, or that collet. So that collet is kind of not really any good anymore unless I turn it clockwise and jam it up against that button, the release button. No big deal. I'll live, you know. That's one thing I hope to one day have enough collets to put on every single one of my loading dies, but I don't. So anyway, enough of my crying. Yeah, my vagina got a little swollen over that, but that's all right. I'll live. So anyway, back to what I'm here for. Precision loading. I use this tool here. This is it's a Hornady bullet comparator. What this tool does is whenever you're measuring, it measures off the ogive or ogive of that bullet. It sits in there. So it gives you a dimension from the ogive of that bullet to the back of it. It gives you a proper length of that bullet. As you can see, these are lead points. And if I go measuring off the lead point to get my bullet lengths, it's good for magazine, for the size of your magazine. That way you can be sure your bullets will fit in your magazine. But your numbers are going to be different every time, especially on these soft lead tip bullets, because they're in a box like that. As you all know, they get beat up, pushed around. So your case overall length is going to vary on soft tip bullets and even some of your the ballistic tips I've seen. So that's the point of this tool here. It gives you an exact dimension. Now with that tool, with this ogive tool and this other Hornady tool here, it's the overall length gauge that's sold separately. They're about 30 bucks each. Not cheap, but what it allows you to do for precision is it allows you to measure your rifle, the exact length of that cartridge from that ogive of that bullet to the length there, so you can measure precisely to the lands of your bullets. So you can seat your bullets to any depth that you want within 1/1000th of an inch. You can set it right on the lands, which I don't recommend unless you've been doing it a while and you're a bench rest shooter. They have their reasons, but it builds a lot of pressure when you seat it up on the lands. I seat my hunting bullets about 20 thousandths off the lands. I find that's pretty good. In my .6, I've been working on it for years. I seat it 10 thousandths off the lands. And that gun is, as I said before, you've heard me brag on my .6. That thing is a tack driver. But that tool basically gives you the measurement to the ogive of the bullet. So when I'm loading for precision, I pay attention to these things. Now, if you can see in the background here, I've got my book. It's got my data that I've written down for loading these loads for this 270. Everything I do is written down in that book. Unless, of course, I'm just repeating a load, then there's no need. I'll just flip like I'm doing. I'll just flip to that page. So anyway, all these cases are charged. Let's show y'all that I have verified that. I don't know if y'all can see down in there, but as you can see, there's powder in every one of them cases. And it's not a lot. Like I said, I use the H4350 on my hunting rounds for this 270 because it's a little bit slower than the IMR 4350, and I use a 150 grain bullet in this gun. Now for hunting, Speer is a really good bullet. I like Speer. They've never let me down. It's not what I use for my target shooting, my hardcore target precision shooting, but it is a good hunting bullet. The price is right, and it's quality product. So you get your bullet. Well, first when you get your case, you verify that it's charged, put it in the press. Now these are boat tail bullets, so you can, let me change the angle of this camera so you can see from the side a little bit there. You can actually see the bullet in there. So you can actually set this thing, you can set it in there and leave it and run it up if you want. You know, it's a little crooked there, but you can, with the boat tails, you can do that and just run it up. I have a problem with letting stuff ride like that. I want it to be as good as it can be. So I'll run it up in there, seat it all the way. Now what I'll do is I'll back it out a little bit and I'll turn this bullet 90 degrees. For me, it helps me to ensure that that bullet is square and parallel to the case and the chamber, and everything is as it should be. Now, I'll take that and I'll put it in this tool here. Put that in the ogive and run it up. I'm shooting for 2.795 on the calipers. And as you can see, I don't know if you can, 2.795. That's exactly what I want for that bullet. So that bullet is seated perfectly. And that's that. Now I'll run 3 or 5 bullets before I'll check another one. And, you know, to verify that it's good. But it should be good. Everything is locked down as it should be. But anyway, that's just how I seat my bullets for precision loading in this 270 here. Short and quick video, but sometimes that's what's best. So anyway, y'all have a good one. Be good to one another. And again, God bless America.